And we are live.
Hello, darlings.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Choobie.
And I'm Vanessa.
And welcome
And
to
welcome to No
No
Filters, No
Filters, No
Fears
Fears podcast.
podcast.
It's okay. We'll blame the kitty on that one.
It's her fault. It's her fault. I blame you,
So
Pikachu.
today's episode is on shame.
It is. It is. How many elephants we talking?
Oh, 4.
Of yeah, I would say it's a total
4.
elephant. 4 elephants.
Maybe give it, 4 elephants. 4 elephants.
I wanted to share this because, so I'm drinking the tea out of the beautiful mugs now available for pre-order. And you love my shameless plug. But I usually drink tea in this lovely mug. I leave the coffee, the sin for another mug. And this is so perfect for today's topic. The gate to happiness is self-compassion.
It's funny how you're like shameless plug. Hello. This is the whole point.
Shush.
We gotta do what we gotta do,
Yep.
And that's the thing. What should we feel ashamed about? It's our freaking merchandise. See, it's our merchandise. We're proud of it, and we should. See, you see that cup right there? You see how beautiful that is? Yeah. So we feel no shame on that. We feel no shame on advertising our own stuff. I don't care. We're doing it.
Did you want to do the definition, like the textbook definition of shame?
Yes, of course.
I keep doing like this, but I should give you guys the back because reframing is totally something that comes in handy when feeling shame. So.
And then, reading about shame and how many ways you could, not feel it.
Peter's all about his 50%.
You did not come up with this idea.
You said t-shirts and the We're Not Therapists, which in this particular episode, before we even read the description, the definition, y'all, this is a really heavy topic. And I'm sure we've both experienced, I know I have, feelings of shame and grown through it or relapsed into it. We are not therapists. We are not. We highly appreciate the therapists of the world and the things that they do for all of us and the information that goes out into the world because of researchers. But we're not therapists. But we definitely have thoughts and feelings on these things, not just as people who have felt it, but of the research that we've done. Now the finish.
Of course.
Because I don't want nobody to get upset at us.
And a little side note, if whoever's watching us, if you're a therapist and you want to give us your input, just
therapist Helen,
send us a little message there, and we will lovely, share with the world. So, shame. Shame is an unpleasant self-conscious emotion typically associated with a negative evaluation of the self. Withdrawal motivations and feelings of distress, exposure, mistrust, powerlessness, and worthlessness. Especially the worthlessness part. I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel that when they're like failing at something.
Yeah. I actually wanted to talk about, I was so happy that we posted yet another thing by our official mascot, Brene Brown.
If she's listening.
If you're out there, Brene, you changed my life. I love you so much. But in that video, actually Choobie found that and shared it with me. I hadn't seen that one. Thank you for sharing it with me and for us being able to put it up because she gets into some really important things about shame because we kind of feel that we can justify shaming someone because of particular actions, right? Because societally it's known it's bad, it's terrible, it's horrendous. Thinking that that's going to fix it or somehow make that person change. And she very clearly states at the beginning, in reference, of course, to like murderers and pedophiles, which we know how I feel about pedophiles. But that even then she says that shame is not the tool, is not the response, because a lot of those behaviors, a lot of these negative behaviors are kind of born from shame. There's a difference between um
Shame
it's
and
okay,
guilt.
baby. Shame and guilt. That guilt, and I really appreciated that definition and and distinguishing those two things, because you can grow out of guilt. Shame is a lot of work, but it's something that like we kind of put on ourselves beyond what somebody just tells us, right? It's a thing that
Right.
lingers.
She says shame is I am bad and guilt is I did something bad. So when
Right.
she said that in the video, I was like, interesting, because we
Yeah.
tend to associate the both with the same
When
feeling when
right.
it's not.
And what I really liked about it was it wasn't just I did something bad versus I am bad, but also I did something bad by comparison to who I want to be, right?
Right.
So when we're in that space of feeling guilty, we're feeling bad about something we've done, we at least know what we want to do, right? There's something that comes after. And when we're in that space of shame, I am bad, we're just like feeding that and we're staying in that hole. And that doesn't really um initiate or motivate change, or as she said, reparation, right? Reparation for
Right.
the damage caused. So when someone actually apologizes or tries to make amends, or for the actions caused, that is them trying to grow out of the shame and become the person that they were comparing that guilt to, right? Become that better version of themselves. Can't hold them to the you suck, because then we're just beating the shame in.
Right. Making it worse.
Yeah.
Peter says it's tough to say people can work out of guilt easily. Depression and suicide result from guilt sometimes. And then Jace Lee says shame plays a part in suicide as well. It does play a part in that as well. I've seen many cases of where, as we all know in the LGBT community, that they're shamed because of who they love, to the point where they're that depressed and that they feel so ashamed of themselves that, you know.
Right. Well, I want to say, Peter, I didn't say that one can work out of guilt easily. And if I did, that's not what I meant. I mean, like, guilt, we can have, like Brené said in the video, you can have something to compare it to. This is who I want to be. But in the shame space, and I'm talking about this from the idea also of something that I believe we shared, and I shared with Choobie, about vibrations, vibrational, emotional frequencies, right?
Yeah.
Shame is the lowest vibration that a human can have, emotionally speaking, right? Um,
I wish I
and
could
that
show
being,
it, but
oh
not.
yeah, there it is. See, all the way at the bottom, and guilt is above it, just above it, feeling guilty. But the
Yeah.
lowest vibration is shame, because why? That is the I am bad. It is that concept of self worth. I am bad. I am terrible. I am not loved. What I am, who I am, what I've done is worthless, is bad, is terrible, it is not needed, right? So those are the feelings that can lead to those spaces of suicide. I don't feel ashamed in sharing this. I had my bouts and my battles with suicidal thoughts or attempts of it. So, and the shame is about not feeling that I have anything to offer up, that I cannot change these things about myself that seem to cause so much distress in someone else.
Mhm.
And that's a heavy journey to get out of that hole, versus guilt, where if you really place, hello therapist Helen, where you place that idea of where you would like to be, you have something to strive for. What is our source? What beliefs are maintaining the shame? Ding ding ding. Helen is a therapist. That's why I call her therapist Helen. She really is. So it's nice. Thank you so much for popping in today. It's an important day for you to be
Should we
here.
change the elephant to a 5?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think
Do you guys
the
agree?
moment I had to like reflect on like, oh, you all have to say that out loud. I went 5 trigger.
Yeah, my brain was like, goodbye, everyone. No, but it's true. It's true. And I found that there are four distinctive types of shame, which I knew some. Like I think we all knew some, but like for example, number one is unrequited love, and we all know what that means. You love someone, they don't love you back, and then you feel like there's something wrong with you, and that's not a good feeling sometimes,
No.
even though there's nothing wrong with you, but because you already have these preconceived notions about yourself as well, it just triggers all of that. So it's a down spiral from there.
Peter, in fact, can it be safe to say that shame is a feeling that can originate from guilt, which is why it's on the in the chart. I think that's what you meant, Peter, because I
Hmm.
feel guilt for something I've done. It can lead to me shaming myself for that action. Right. The more we stew in certain guilt and negative spaces, the lower the vibrations become. It's not me trying to be a hippity dippity like wooey wooey. It's actual science, y'all. Right. And they've actually added, by the way, Chewy, you see at the Choobie. I was just working with somebody named Chewy yesterday. That's why
Well,
that ain't that ain't you. Shaming yourself, action brought by guilt. Yeah, I on that
mhm.
chart, the top three. The top three, what are they? Let me go back to the
The
image.
top three is enlightenment, and second is harmony, and then joy.
Right. So those are actually newer to this chart. Those
Mm,
frequencies are actually newer because before the chart ended at love, right? The lowest vibration being shame. And people used to imagine that the complete opposite side of the spectrum was, you know, uh, positivity, something pretty. But nobody really n- would have correlated that with the opposite, the highest vibration being love, which I think is quite beautiful because love is love of self, love of another person, to not shame them, to not put them in that space, right? I've had my therapist remind me that it's not my fault almost every session. It's a hard feeling to shake. Yeah. But you know what? What do you think, Chubi? I think personally, I feel that we're in a society that too comfortably and too easily points fingers, right? We're now in this thing in this era where we hear cancellation of things, right? Cancel this, cancel that, right? And body shaming and slut shaming and all these kinds of
mhm.
terms. We live in a society right now that is too comfortable putting people down, and it's not feel guilty that you did something. It's feel shame for being this, for not being what the majority feels is proper,
Right, it's
right?
all society based. Yeah. No, I just feel like if someone is doing something but you don't approve of it, why are you gonna go out of your way to go shame them? Can you just scroll past that? If you don't like it, that's it. Cynthia said shame is canceled.
Yay!
Yes, shame is
Shame is
canceled.
canceled. I like that. That's the new hashtag. Shame is canceled.
No, but it should be because it's none of your business to go out and put somebody down just because of something that you don't approve. It's also that I don't approve of this, so I'm gonna go shame you for it.
Mm-hmm. Right, true.
When like depending on what job you do, you're gonna get shamed 99% of the time.
Sex work constantly gets
Well,
shamed.
there's
One
so
can have
many.
an right. I mean, I feel like one can have their personal opinion.
Hmm.
You don't have to impose it.
Of
You can
course.
state it if you so desire, but you don't have to impose it. Nor does it have to go to the point of shaming someone, right? That at 79th Street. Who is
Like
that? Who is that?
one of my high school friends, her name is Jaisley.
Jaisley.
I
But
mean, we may have been laughing about it right now, yes, a little bit here, but we do know that it's a very serious thing that people do get killed for it, shamed for it,
yes.
and it's a very hard profession, you know.
But
Yeah.
it's not just that. It's before we mentioned the LGBTQ community,
Mm,
right? Whenever it comes to sexual orientation or how one chooses to live their life when it comes to, because we talked about it consistently in the last couple of episodes, you
mm,
know, how society considers relationships is only the romantic kind. Like it's
right,
not the friendships, it's not your family, everything is a relationship, right? So we're
right,
trying to, at least within our no filters no fear family, normalize the idea that relationships don't have to be this romantic thing,
right.
right? And also the idea that um it's so easy to shame people for, okay, you love the same sex, you love someone who's transitioned, or you love more than one person, or you don't want to be with anyone, like all of these things that just boggle the mind of the quote unquote norm. um I don't know why it automatically registers to people as giving them clout to point fingers and say, you are shitty.
Right.
And then why do we, and this is me posing questions. This is not me solving the questions of the universe by any stretch of the imagination. These are things that go through my brain. Like, why do we feel that it's those that feel the shame for whatever those cases are? Why do we give so much weight to those people, so much significance to those placers of shame?
That just reminded me of, was it that post that we posted earlier that if we, without our attention to shame, and it cannot survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we share our story with someone who responds with empathy and understanding, shame can't survive. So you're right. Like, don't give it the attention, and then it can't thrive, it can't survive, and it would just, just go away.
Let me take a second to see what Peter wrote. We're in a society in where people scapegoat blame and shame to others. Ooh, talking about that projection life, Peter. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Because they want to reflect or deflect, right? Project or avoid that feeling. Work to the expression, he shits on me, so I'll shit on you. Bosses approach employees because they were approached usually. Correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, Peter. I'm trying to, what I'm understanding from what you wrote is I'm getting the sense of like a continuing cycle, that these shames,
Yeah.
it's not just automatic placed, sometimes it's cycle down, which in that video that we posted by Brene Brown, she does mention that those shames come from previous shames, right? And so these negative actions are born of that. Absolutely, the cycles continue, right? Because I was treated that way. And I think in a previous episode, I think it was in the consent episode, we talked about there being like the deviation of the roads where
Hmm.
you suffered, you you survived this abuse, and now you have, roads to take. Do you deal with it? Do you become an abuser? Like, there's all these choices, all these potential things that can happen. It's the same thing with shame.
That
Helen,
reminds
therapist Helen.
before you read that one, that reminds me of the family dynamic. You know how the father
Yeah.
was like a police officer, the grandfather was a police officer, and then you, fourth generation or fifth generation, and all of a sudden you're like, but I want to be an artist. But then you have to hide that from yourself and go be this police officer because it's a generational thing, and now you're shaming to expressing to your father, but I don't want to be like grandfather was or great grandfather was. So
Right.
that's also what I was thinking about when,
Absolutely. Or like not taking on the family business, right? You wanting
right.
to go outside. Or even culturally. It happens so much culturally, to marry within the same culture. We
Oh,
see that a
definitely.
lot in the Indian culture and most Middle Eastern culture. You see it a lot. That if you don't marry someone of the same cultural background, bad, corta, right?
Right.
Society as a whole reinforces norms, and deviances can be internalized as shameful, especially when frowned upon or shunned by others consistently. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, and we talked about, I love when other episodes come back. They come back. When we talked about it in the one about that the kids are listening, right? It's not
Oh yeah.
so much about just, okay, the change now, right? Okay, I'm not going to shame now. There's already things that have already been placed, the shames that have already been placed, these ideas of what is shameful behavior or shameful personality traits or choices, right? That keep cycling until we start that normalizing it, right? People, I see so many posts now about let's normalize going to therapy. Let's normalize men crying. Let's normal because that's another thing. We shame genders,
Ex-
or we shame those that are that want to be non-binary, right? So we have this facility. And I'm saying that wrong because that's English and I'm thinking in Spanish. Facilidad, right? This
oh no, no, no.
ease. Does that
Yeah.
happen to you? This
Yeah.
ease for shaming, like that we don't even realize we're doing it.
And
Because
so
I recognize that I've done this.
we get shamed for every little freaking thing, like for this most absurd thing. Like I was expressing how we get shamed if women don't want to shave in the 21st century. Like we get shamed for that now. Like, do you
Right.
know why we have body hair? Like little examples like that just makes me think, and I'm over here like, what have we come to? Like, from the littlest thing to this, to obviously to the bigger things. And it's like we gotta choose our battles, man.
Yeah, it's personal.
Even
Like,
though we shouldn't shame regardless, because I don't agree with shame regardless of what it is. But I'm just saying, like,
here's what I always think about, because I know I can be very opinionated at times, as is
we
clear by this podcast,
clearly we
right?
both are.
And I've really been checking in with myself because I know I can impose a lot of these what I consider my norms, right? And I'm not doing it intentionally, and I'm not doing it out of a place of hate or hurt.
Right.
But I'm learning to have those conversations with myself of who decided that that was normal, right? That is your decision, your belief. But who decided that that was normal, and how I choose to express that? If someone has that behavior, you can respect them. They don't have to necessarily be a part of your life, right? And if it is something like in a work environment, for example, where you are um, having to reprimand or fire an employee, right? Or if it's in a relationship and you know you've been wronged by the partner, or if it's in a friendship and your friend undid you wrong by your standards, the communication is coming from the place of hurt and sharing
Right.
that, right? Where Brené says the vulnerability is what affects change versus consistent beating down and the shame of like, on top of you're already losing your job, on top of you're already like on the rocks with the friend or the partner, why are you going to add to that, right? By then putting this person in a space that when they leave that environment, they're just down on themselves.
Right.
It's going to reflect negatively again to you or to the next relationship or in the next job, or you know what I mean? Mm-mm. I don't dig it.
That goes back to one of the four distinctive types of shame, which one it was on unwanted exposure, like called out for a mistake in public or humiliated by someone,
Mm-hmm.
like for example walking in you naked type of ways. And like the third one was disappointed expectation, which is when you set out to do something and you fail, which is mostly what we all could agree on that we've had that happen to us as well. And I that for me is a big one too, because I am a perfectionist. Can't try not to be, but it's in my nature to be perfect in all my areas, which I know I'm not. And then especially when I work and I try to do it, and be perfect at it, and then I failed miserably, yeah, it does suck. It does suck at some point.
Yeah.
And you have to get yourself out of it. At least I try.
And are in your case, and guys, feel free to answer in the chat as well. Do
Yes.
you feel that you apologize too much? Is that,
Nope.
do
I
you
do not
find
say
no?
sorry.
Actually, I'm so
Unless,
glad that Cindy's watching today. Cindy is, I heard it a lot in college and I kind of dissociated from hearing it. Like as soon as I would start to hear it, I would shut down. And Cindy was the first person in my adult state of being more conscious, right? That told me that I apologized too much. And I became very aware of it. And I still do. It's still a struggle. But a lot of that comes from the idea that certain things that I will share in a moment of excitement or vulnerability or in a feeling place is shameful.
right.
And that I need to apologize for it. I need to apologize for crying, for feeling, or I need to apologize for things, because it's not just about doing wrong. We get shamed sometimes about doing things right, about being nice. You're too nice. That's an actual shame thing. I'm like,
Right.
how is that bad?
I mean, if I, back to your question, no, I do not apologize unless I know for a fact I fucked up really bad, and
Heard.
it's required. Yeah, the sorry and the actual sentiment of apologizing needs to be said with my heart. Other than that, I'm not gonna apologize. I'm not gonna apologize for who I am, how I am, and if you don't like the way I behave because it's not the norm to you, then you need to go check yourself because everybody's different. So there's certain things that I am not, and if the person is expecting an apology, not going to. More distinctive type.
Dale.
So
Dale.
the last one is exclusion, which we all mostly feel that is being left out. We place a lot of our value of being liked and not feeling like an outsider. So when something threatens that, we can take it pretty hard. I mean, nobody wants to feel left out or excluded out of anything. So that also causes shame because you're like, wait, again, what is wrong with me? Did I do something wrong? Why don't they want to be near me? So that also plays a huge part.
We can totally place that on current situations, the LGBTQ community, Black Lives Matters, Trans Lives Matters. All these concepts of like these things needing to be a movement is because of that lack of inclusion and being shamed into thinking that there is something different about these individuals. And if you put them, for lack of a better phrase, in their place enough, shame them enough into feeling that they are different, make them believe it enough, right? They can be kind of kept to the side and not included, which I'm so glad to see that shift, that change in the collective consciousness.
Right.
But it's a slow go. It's been a slow go,
Well, like
unfortunately.
we talked about before in our previous episodes, conversations like this to make them think out of the box, to make them feel, to make them think, wait, yeah, there is nothing wrong with me, or okay, yeah, this is fine. So we have to conversations, baby
Because
steps.
yeah, and all of those things, all of the norms changing and all of those calls to normalizing certain things that we have been made to believe that are wrong or harmful, right? That we've seen or not. We keep bringing it back to vulnerability because it takes being able to and wanting to talk about it without the filters and without the fears of repercussions for it, right?
Exactly.
Holding that space to be able to have these discussions so that it can be normalized that being gay, straight, non-binary, Black, Indigenous, Latino, all of these things that we keep insisting differentiate us, right? And makes it easy to put people down, are not. And that we are all on the same like heart space, if that makes any sense. It made sense in my brain.
It made sense to whoever was paying attention. Okay, we're gonna read a couple of comments because there's a lot going on. So you could read Helen's first.
Uh, okay. I wanted to respond to something that Peter said after Helen's.
Oh, wait, which one? Yeah, because
What
I don't know.
what
There's so many.
when you read Peter's, I'll make a comment.
The one
Social
above her.
learning theory.
Oh
No, no,
yeah.
no. The one. Oh, I didn't see that one actually.
I don't know.
Us
They
with
just.
communication and
Thank you
relationships,
guys
regardless
for
of what.
this.
Guys, I love how active you are. And the thing, I think this hits home for all of us. Shame is a real thing. And nobody wants to be in that vibrational energy of shame. We're all trying to like rise above it. So I appreciate you all. I also believe communication in relationships, regardless of what they can help you avoid the shame, shows you care. Yes. Ooh, you get so many dates, Peter.
Being
Absolutely.
open, being open and receptive to someone else's thoughts and opinions of what they have to say about a certain topic that may be different from yours, but being receptive to it and listening instead of being like, no, 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 I don't want to talk about that. No, wait, what are you thinking
And
about?
validating their feelings.
Right, no
And then
judgment,
not
and
only yours, yeah. Yeah. Uh, Therapist Helen says
then
social learning theory proposes that individuals learn by observing the behavior of others and taking note of the consequences that follow. We literally have to be the change we want to see in the world and reparent ourselves. Ooh, reparent is one of the topics that I have on my list of topics.
and that's what we were talking about, how the children, and they were looking and listening to what it's being, around them. Remember that
Hmm.
episode? Yeah. So
Yeah. All right. Go
um
ahead.
Peter says, I don't believe there is such a thing of apologizing too much. He is referring to this to Brian, that Brian says, I don't apologize enough. So Peter is saying that shows that you are considerate of others. I am one of those. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you want to read Cynthia, or you want to have a
I,
comment? Sorry.
I, I wanted to say something about that because I am the person that apologizes a lot. I've learned the difference, right? Yes, you want to apologize when someone has expressed to you, right, what their feeling is. You can apologize if your intention wasn't for them to be in that space or feel that or whatever they perceive
Right.
within your intention. Yes, apologize. But there is such a thing as apologizing too much. My mom always tells me deja de this stop apologizing for existing is basically what she tells me, but in Spanish, right?
Oh, I say that
Because
all the
I
time.
apologize for feeling how I feel. I apologize for crying. I apologize for every damn thing. And I never thought about it. Every time my mom reminds me, I'm like, oh yeah, you're apologizing for existing. You're apologizing for being you. And that is where that fine line between apologizing too much and apologizing because you're being considerate and showing care for another person. So just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, you have done that too in our group chat. I'm like, no, it's okay, it's fine. I'm like, it
Mhm.
totally fine. I'm over here like,
And
I
that
have no
absolutely is a
clue.
habit.
In my mind, I'm like, I have no clue what she's apologizing for, but I'm gonna let her know that it's okay because there's nothing being done wrong. At least to me, there's nothing being done wrong. And if there was something wrong, I wouldn't shame you for it. I would have just been like, no, I understand, but you don't have
Right.
to feel that way. But then again, there are not many people out there that are gonna be receptive to that
Right.
and talk, say it different instead of saying, shaming the person. So,
Yeah.
oh, you want to rescind it?
Cindy, Cindy says, Peter, there needs to be a balance there. Aha! Being considerate of others at the expense of your own happiness, comfort uh does everyone a disservice. Ding, that as well. Because later what happens? Resentment, right?
Resentment.
Resentment. You are so busy apologizing for your existence and apologizing to the other person that there's the conversation in that, right? There's the conversation in this is how I felt. You right? You apologize for I'm sorry you felt that way. This was my intention, right? The guilt versus the shame for having caused that in the other person
Right.
and the conversation to fix it, right? So but if it's you did and there's no opportunity for there to right to be that communication and then you're just apologizing, I'm sorry, I'm a piece of shit, soy una mierda, right?
Right.
And you're just on that adding to shame to yourself, you eventually become resentful of that person who never heard you out, who never gave you the opportunity
To even talk.
to
Yeah.
make amends or to or to show the better side of yourself. And then shame on top of resentment, qué sentimiento más horrible.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
It
lot.
doesn't cause guilt
Danny.
and depression.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Choobie, no, you're frozen. Come back. There you are.
Dana
There you go.
says, "I read going on. Did I freeze? I it's I can't. I'm sorry, guys. It's just not letting me. I read something
Okay, you're
about
good.
how people can use the word the just when we're explaining what we're doing because we're shamed into feeling that it's not up to par, and that really stuck with me for everyday life. Huh.
I don't know if you want to say something about that. I just had a conversation about this.
You could have your conversation. You could share it if you like.
So it's called kneecapping. At least in writing, it's called kneecapping.
She's like,
Um, I have a friend who writes. He has a great blog, and he constantly um, blogs ideas and feelings. And he was told by somebody who used to help him edit that he kneecapped his writing a lot, and it's doing that. I just right, which minimizes your actual feeling or um, opinion or power within that idea, right? You're taking away your own thing. You're feeling ashamed. You're treading with
right.
caution, little mouse. You're minimizing yourself. You're dimming your own shine. Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up, Dana. Yes, I do that. You don't do that. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot in working with you, Choobie. I really have.
Please share.
Yeah, but no, I've also been very fortunate in like the last 3 years of my life to come in contact with people, and I think our friendship has developed more during those 3 years too, because we
Mhm.
kept in more contact until where we are now. That these people have really solidified that idea that I don't have to apologize for existing, and I don't have to say just for everything, but I still
Right.
do it because it's the habit that I need to break. But you're such a wonderful example.
I mean, what I've learned from everybody around me is just different perspectives, but it makes me think of, wow. I mean, I'm not trying to sound rude or mean, but it's like, wow, I don't know that feeling. I don't know that feeling of having to apologize 24/7 because I don't. Because I put myself in a situation like if you know in your heart, listen to yourself first, it's not wrong, and you don't feel like it needs to, it's just not wrong. Don't feel sorry for it. Don't feel the shame of it. But now, if something is telling you, obviously it's because of X, Y, and Z reason, around you, like your family or your friends or whatever. But it's about growth too. That you will eventually get out of that habit of apologizing,
Mhm.
and learning when to say it and meaning it. Because sometimes people say sorry just to fill in the blank, just a space. And it's like,
Right.
no, you don't have to add anything. Let the silent be there and just
Right.
say what you need to say.
I totally agree, because shame is born in that too, right? That constant cycle of hurt and hurt and hurt and hurt and hurt, and then now
Yeah.
it passes that guilt for hurting someone to just, I'm a piece of shit. I can do nothing right, and I just continuously hurt people. There's a quote from The Little Prince, which is my favorite book, one of my favorite books. Um, that says, and I'm gonna totally slaughter the quote, but this is my interpretation plus actual words from it, that we are going to hurt each other, right? It's a it's a part of life. We're going to hurt each other. Uh, it's not always going to be intentional. One would hope it's not intentional, but it's the only way that we can learn to appreciate the other side, right? And it's what we do after we've caused that hurt that counts, right?
Right.
You can't experience the flowers and the spring without the rain. You can't know what true joy is without being able to compare it to having those sad, hurtful moments. You can't appreciate the good relationships if you haven't had to live through and survive and learn through those toxic or unhealthy relationships. Nobody wishes that upon you, but it's a fact of life. We go through it, right? And if you can grow within that same relationship into a healthier place, wow, how delicious.
And I know it's gonna be hard the first time, but if you've seen the mistake and you learn from it, don't repeat it again. Try your best. Eventually, obviously, it will become a habit of you're not gonna shaming people or being judgmental or saying sorry a lot and feeling guilt that you are a piece of shit, or even though you're not, but obviously that you're conditioned to believe that because of the time.
Okay, they said, Brian, I've read not to use the. Oh, wait. Peter said he was responding to himself. I've read not to. Hi, Chewy. I've read not to use the word you, nor always or never in statements when giving criticism because it comes across as blaming, shaming the other person, right? You're quantifying everything that person has ever done by the one action. You're making everything about the one situation. I totally, I dig that, Brian. Thank you. You
Eh,
always do this. Yeah.
exactly, those are blaming words right away. Those are like they say fighting words. You're already like, oh really, I always do this, so there's not going to be a receptive there because you're already automatically blaming the
Right.
person. There are better ways to say what you need to say without using those blaming words. You are very correct.
In that communication episode, we talked about that, right? And so in theater, we do improv. Improv is where you pull it out your butt and you just keep it flowing. There's a
Right.
rule. You don't say no in improv, right? Because that ends
Mm.
the scene. There's nowhere to
Oh,
go from no, right? So there's nowhere to go from you always or you never, because you've cornered this person into shame and the impossibility of growth, right? You've pigeonholed them to a particular situation, right? And as much as they may want to fix it or change it, or they have proved differently to you in other circumstances, since this is the only thing that's really mattering, you've put them in a space where they just like, they shut down. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to. And then they don't want to talk no more. And now
right.
you've jeopardized your entire relationship and the possibility of growth within the relationship and within yourself to communicate differently or to make amends. That's rough.
That's it.
Damn, Brian.
It doesn't grow from there. Dulange says this is true. Hurt has to happen in order to learn to know and to understand the other person.
Yeah.
And but that's the thing. Again, the other person has to be willing to be receptive to wanting to grow, to learn, and to understand what you're saying. Other than that, it's not gonna happen. There's not gonna
But
be none of that. No growth, no nothing.
but
It
it's
has
also
to
like,
be
no, no, go.
like like we talk about the second circle, the giving and the taking. Again, it has to be all of that.
Yeah.
So
But also, it's also understanding, and this has been my flaw and my little seed of growth. Um,
yeah.
Vanessa in the bus throwing under. Um, there's also understanding and being receptive, not just to what's being communicated to you, but to the fact that the other person or you
Hmm.
will assimilate and grow and go through your feelings and your emotions at different paces. To be kind to one another and to be kind to yourself and to be patient, right? Thank you so much. Love you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Brain food. I love that. Um, and being receptive to that, because sometimes we want the thing to be fixed so quickly that when it doesn't change in the time limit that we feel it's needed to happen, right?
Right.
You're like, it's just never gonna happen and I'm done. Right? We don't leave the we don't leave room or space for that growth to occur. But it also has to be not just feeling that hurt, you have to be willing to share that hurt, to be vulnerable. And that can be scary because there's an idea that you have to feel safe with that person, or there's certain prerequisites for someone to be vulnerable. But part of what Brene Brown talks about is normalizing, right? Making it a part of the norm. That vulnerability is just a thing, right? So we create that space where we're just receptive because that's the
Right.
normal way of communicating, being coming from a vulnerable place.
Also, I think you have to be genuine with wanting to grow and to be understanding and to learn, not just do it because of the heck of it. You genuinely, I mean, have to want that. Other than that, it's not gonna go anywhere. Because then you
Absolutely.
forget about it the next day, and then you're just repeating your same patterns over and over.
Keep talking about shame having a frequency, and we showed you guys, and we're going to be posting it.
Yeah,
The little person with the levels um of the frequencies, but also because we are all like vibrating beings, right? Everything has its own frequency. We definitely wanted to share with you guys that there there are ways of kind of like levelizing your level, putting kind of a balance in your brains and bringing your
right.
frequencies back to normal. It's not just doing all that cognitive and emotional work, right? It's there's there's an assist. Like we talk about music all the time. We have music Mondays for a reason, right? Music makes us feel things. What's music but wavelengths, frequency, right?
Yeah.
Um the by I'm gonna destroy this. Therapist Helen, this is where you come in. Binaural beats, right? Brainwave states and that are and they have benefits. So we have different states. We have delta, the delta frequency, which is like little baby vibes when you're sleepy time, when you're sleeping, when you feel relief from pain, when you're healing. Theta, which is REM sleep,
Oh yeah.
you say, right? Again, pain relief, deep relaxation. But this is not, you're not sleep. You are in a meditative state, right? Where you're feeling inner peace.
Right.
Um, and you're feeling creative, you're flowing, right? In that second circle space. Ooh, I love that you brought up second circle. Alpha, right? Relaxed focus, positive thinking, accelerated learning, stress reduction. So the things that are in between an 8 and a 14 hertz situation bring us to that space, help us stay in that kind of space. Beta, attention, you're focused, high level cognition, analytical thinking, problem solving. And then we have gamma, memory recall, peak awareness. This is where the hashtag collective consciousness comes in. Uh, Cognitive enhancement, transcendental states, high level of information processing, where you're vibing with the earth, with actual Mother Earth.
Put your feet on the ground type of
Hmm.
chakra alignments. We will be sharing this little chart thingy with you so you guys can view it, obviously, so you guys can know what we're talking about. We
We're
will.
gonna show you. We're gonna show you. And I was so happy. You know that I didn't put. I'm gonna add them to the Music Mondays. But I was so happy when you knew exactly who I was talking about with Marconi Union.
Love them. I
So
love.
I Chubi and I were talking about this topic, obviously, and about the waves and how we all vibrate at different levels and all of this stuff. And that when you're in certain states, when you're in an anxious state or whatever, there is a group called Marconi Union. Their music is composed specifically, right? And they work with scientists and all this to find the frequency that helps alleviate certain frequencies in the human body. So they have this one song, which is considered to be the best song or piece of music in the perfect frequency to help reduce anxiety. It's
It's
called Whisper, right?
weightless. Weightless.
Weightless.
I go to sleep to it most nights when I feel like my brain is churning, and then I just feel like I'm falling asleep so quicker when the song. I listen to the 4 minute, not the 8 or the hour one, because no, the 4 minute one is fine. But yeah, it does make my brain feel like I'm going to sleep quicker. Like it just relaxes it.
Yeah.
We will put it on our playlist because that is a great one to have.
Because also I don't know about anybody else, but in those moments where I do have that feeling of shame or ashamed, right? I've talked before about being on a journey to have, feeling more positive about my my body and things like that. I automatically go to a place of anxiety. right? Okay, I'm gonna share something real personal, y'all. I
Wait.
was doing a play where I had to take off my clothes. I'm an actor.
Oh,
I
no,
have no issues kissing people and doing things like that on stage. But because I have these past traumas and experiences about my weight, um, that put me in a really uncomfortable position. I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to come. I did not anticipate the reaction I had because of that shame of wanting to cover myself. And this is something that really does happen to me. I become physically ill. I want to throw up. I go through all these and I get anxiety. My heart starts.
yeah.
Um, it takes a lot of breathing and calming and bringing myself back to a safe space. Marconi Union really helped like alleviate some of those anxieties that happened to me from, coming from the place of shame or situational anxieties. Helen, would you mind sharing what the name of the? I think Apple TV has like a library of these. And therapist Helen has used. I've seen her use it for studying. Could you share that with us, please? I
I
thought
was
that was
gonna,
so interesting.
I was gonna also say if you guys want to take a baby step and share some of your shameful moments or experiences with us. I'm trying to look for one because the only thing I ever gotten was like my hair or like I should go brush it or something. I mean that is so superficial, but I'm just saying like, or
What?
actually my career choice. Artists don't make money, so
Oh yeah.
we got in
Get a
that.
real job. That was my favorite. Get a real job for my
Get a
father.
real job. Yeah, exactly. So, and mind you, you just taking this goes back into centuries. Like women got shamed for being a woman, for everything. Oh, women are not supposed to sit like this. Women are supposed to be this. Oh, you don't know how to cook, but you're a woman. Things like that. Little things, bigger things, like from everywhere.
And things that you can't even control. Like men get shamed when their voice is changing. Women get shamed for like. And I'm not saying shame like, oh, that's terrible that you got your period, because obviously we know it happens. But the commentary is shameful, right? And embarrassing and humiliating. So you're shamed for getting your period, for going through menopause. Men get shamed for not being able to grow facial hair.
Or that they're too feminine, or
Right.
what I mean, if they're not manly enough, they're too feminine, or what the hell? It's unbelievable. I'm sorry to Peter. I said share some of your shameful moments if you want to do a baby step, as we've talked about before in our episodes. If you want to talk about something shameful, nothing big, whatever you want, it's fine.
Whatever you feel comfortable, yeah.
Yes.
Um,
And what did Dana say before you get into answering what? Um, we got you on
mhm.
that artist topic, LOL. When are you gonna get a
Learning.
real job, or what other job do you have? Yeah, I.
I cannot say how many times I've said, oh, I'm an actor. They're like, and what else do you do?
It's funny because I've used interchangeably by accident a real job, and I was like, what? No, this is a job. It is a real job. It is a job. It provides my food. It provides my.
But do you
It's
know where that comes from? That comes from us being told consistently, right? That a real job is lawyer, doctor, engineer, right? And that ours is a hobby or something cute, an aside.
live off of your
And
hobby. Yeah.
and because of that, they've created that mentality that artists have to be starving. You have to be a starving artist, right? Because that's what you do and you don't make money. So we don't, as artists, we now do shit for free and we don't give ourselves our value and our place with our artistic endeavors.
Exactly.
That don't float between these two like these two people on the screen right now.
No
No.
way. I would
No.
pray for breathing on next to you if you want me to be on screen. I don't
Right.
care.
Like
Breathing.
this I that's part of what I hope you're with me on this, Choobie. Part of my goal is to normalize that being an artist is a business. You are your business. And the same way you wouldn't ask a doctor to give you a free surgery, right?
Right.
Because they studied so many years, and they're worth those thousands that they charge you for hearing your heartbeat, giving you a prescription, and walking out of the room. I'm not going to charge you those thousands, but I definitely deserve the ticket price that you sit down to watch the hard work that went into that rehearsal, etc. Or that goes into Choobie's photography and the lighting and the detail. All of these things, it's your efforts, right? And shaming that or devaluing it with words reinforces those ideas in that person. That's not cute. It's not cute.
Trust me, I am on with you on that one. We normalize being an artist because we do. Are
Yep.
you gonna? What's the app? The app is called Relax Melodies Sleep Sound. Ooh, where can we find that at?
Oh yes, please tell us where you can find it. Because I saw that it doesn't just have sleep things, but it's an entire library. It's really cool. An entire library of sounds, and you can
Mhm.
figure out the frequency that works for you. Ah, so good.
I like
Oh, you're
that
an
because
actor. What restaurant do you work at? Yep. I was shamed for being heavy. Peter, I feel you, baby. I've been a curvy woman all my life, and I've learned to love myself a little more throughout the years, but it's definitely a journey to self-love and self-acceptance and body positivity. Uh, but that in our society is a really big deal, you know? Telling Because they automatically associate it with being unhealthy or being unattractive, right? So it automatically gets shamed. What else
I
we got
got
here?
I got shamed for being pasty white when I was like 12, teenage years. The whitest of the whites I could possibly be. I had no color in my I looked dead. I got shamed for that. I got shamed for having long hair. Like, what the hell is that? Like, it's so weird. Not even bullied. It's just like completely like, oh, you shouldn't.
Just the comment, the passing comment. I got bullied, shamed, and physically beat up because I smile too much.
What the freak?
And
How? Oh my.
but it was tied to, and you're too fat to be that happy.
How?
But that really did stay with me for a long time.
No.
It's crazy. There's a line in a Janet Jackson song, and it has to do about a partner, but I couldn't totally associate it to a lot of other things. How empty of me to be so full of you. How that's where that self-esteem and that self-worth and that idea of your value that you give yourself, how empty of me, or how poorly I think of myself to be so full of what others' opinions of me have been. And it's still something that I struggle with. The fear of like, oh, if I say this, what I'm not ready to deal with the consequence of it. But
That's
it's
the
a
thing.
it's a fact.
Most people are afraid of confrontation, and most people are afraid of letting go. See, I used to be that like hundreds years ago. I used to be like, oh my god, I can't say this. Then I realized I'm like, fuck it. Now I say a lot, and sometimes wait, no filter at all. But sometimes I do have to pull myself back because the having no filter can become you know a negative thing. But I'm always honest with myself, and you have to be true to yourself first in order for anything to
Yeah.
change.
And I
Peter
like that
said,
you said that,
mm,
because confrontation can absolutely be positive.
yeah, it
I
it
like it.
can. Peter says, I made a decision to redefine what heavy is by lifting weight. Exactly. You see that shame or that negative shame that came to you. Yeah, reframing. You decided to turn it into a positive, instead of dwelling on it and becoming depressed by it and dragged down by it. See, that's a positive change. That is something good. And now feel proud. Feel
Because
proud.
it's not like I think there's people that very much are okay with being heavy, and they do. Heavy people exercise, y'all. I will have you know. They exercise, maybe not like necessarily at a gym, but they're active. So
Right.
a lot of heavy people, like a lot of these plus size models, they work out heavy, but they're still big people, right? I love that you said that so much, Peter. because it's true. If you weren't okay with it yourself to begin with, and then on top of that, you're being shamed, I'm really glad that you didn't just stay there, that you bettered it for yourself, you know? And you did it
Exactly.
for yourself, not like, oh, because I love the people that try to take credit for your growth, right? A former teacher of mine just posted this. You know, a student said, "Oh, I've got here because of you. I got this compliment because of you and the work that we did." You can say, "I'm grateful for this work. I appreciate you for helping me see this and guiding me." But what she responded to him was, "You did that. You did the work." Because she can give you the guidance and do the thing. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make it drink. So, Peter, you learned how to fish, my friend. Right? You're doing it. You did
Exactly.
it for you. I think that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
That's the thing, when you do things for yourself and not for society, things are much better.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
Brian says being shamed can put your guard up, so put your guard up, so you try to go out of your way not to allow people to do it again. Social media can cause shame for many people. That's what I'm saying. In social media, you see you're following somebody and they're making you feel a certain way. Unfollow them. And guess what? Don't feel guilty about doing so. It's because you're that protecting yourself from something that makes you feel shameful.
right?
And there is
It's
nothing wrong with
self-care.
that.
It's self-care.
Exactly. Self-care.
Um, we talked about it before too, right? Because a lot of people felt entitled, and which is a big thing in this day and age as well, the sense of entitlement
Mhm.
that people walk around with. Um, feel entitled to shame others because you're not posting about this thing that's happening now. I made a conscious decision for myself that I still post my beliefs on, you know, immigration, and my beliefs on Black Lives Matters, my belief on equality for LGBTQ, and then plus. And when something really resonates with me, I will post it at that moment. And when everything first started, I was heavy into it because I was so enraged. But then I was like, I need to take a step back. And I've made it more about posts about finding truth and communication and all of that, and doing the work and being more proactive with what I wanted to see about those changes that I feel so strongly about, right?
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
why we're activists, so that we're going to go be active about it. And if posting is what one can do, amen, do it. Getting that information out there is massively important. But if someone else isn't doing it, don't go out of your way to slide into their DMs and shame them, or on a public forum shame them for not being vocal about it on their platforms, because some people, their platform is their job, so they will post about it, but they have to put their own content as well because that's their job.
Exactly.
And I'm tired of people canceling and calling out for things that aren't necessary. People don't know what you're doing behind the scenes, right? Lord,
Exactly.
okay, you know where I'm going. Dana, that's why I like girls who will post a picture of their body in a great angle or light followed by a real one saying these are the same bodies and this is what social media can make you think is real and what is not. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate people that um bring awareness to like mental health and things like eating disorders. Somebody that I follow because they're very positive and they're very open about their journey is Marcela Paguaga. I follow her on Instagram, and she posts really amazing things about our perception of body image and mental health. And she's very open and honest about her own journey. Um, go follow her. She's wonderful.
But you see, following people like that make you feel inspired and things like that is perfect. But if you feel that shame from that person, I mean, you feel ashamed of who you are because of someone else's, unfollow them. Don't
Yeah.
forget about that. One more before we go to Choobie's book corner.
Ooh.
You want to read Bryant, or you want me to
Oh,
read it?
okay. I'll read Brian's. I think it's important to not give people power over us by not letting others' comments and opinions shape us. Easier said than done, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And
I
that's what
mean,
we've been talking about. What gives us that idea that those things matter and have weight?
exactly. I mean, it takes baby steps to get to where you want to be, where a comment like that would not affect you. Obviously, yeah, easier said than done, like you said. Like obviously, I didn't get here overnight. I mean, but there are certain comments that will make you feel like crap that day. But then what you gotta do is say, "This is not who I am. I am better," and try to,
Yeah.
you know, have a better day afterward. Because sometimes I know.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel like I need to give you Choobie book corner music.
Well, if anybody.
Choobie. Choobie.
Can you imagine? That would be so cool. Be like,
Ah,
or just my
that's
name
great.
just being repeated. That's on a
Choobie,
narcissistic.
Choobie, Choobie, Choobie,
In
Choobie,
different
Choobie.
frequencies.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, book corner
You
with
see?
like a
You hear that,
whisper.
right? I like that. I like that. Some colors popping up like green and red.
Ba, 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 ba. This is where the podcast will go eventually. There's gonna wait. I got you. I
Of
got
course.
you
Yeah,
with the
yeah, we're
lights.
getting there.
Here we go. I got you with the lights. This is how we're gonna introduce Choobie's book corner. Ba, 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 da, dee, dee, dee. Turn on, damn it. There we go.
It's okay. We're trying.
And I gotta turn this down. I'm gonna turn myself down
Oh,
low.
we're going real
So,
disco up in here, huh?
I'm telling
So on today's Choobie's book corner, I found 5 books that I think are helpful. So here we go. Shame, Free Yourself, Find Joy, and Build True Self-Esteem by Joseph Burgo. This one is an intimate look at the full spectrum of shame, often masked by addiction, promiscuity, perfectionism, self-loathing, or narcissism. So it
you.
talks about those and how it's related. Book number 2, Shame and the Origins of Self-Esteem by Mario Jacoby. The book talks about how we experience shame, for what purpose, and how we can cope with excessive feelings of shame.
Yeah.
So very psychological stuff here. Um, Number 3 is the Healing the Shame That Binds You by Jihn Bradshaw. This book talks about how toxic shame is the core problem in our compulsions, codependencies, and addictions.
I want to read
Codependent.
all these books.
The one I like the most is this one that I just read because of codependency. People don't realize that they're codependent. They might not directly, but they might not realize it until I was gonna say until it's too late, but. And then number 4 is Healing Your Emotional Self by Beverly Engel. This book offers practical tips, proven solutions, and expert guidance in healing emotional self. Provides a program to help readers raise their self-esteem. So this is like a workbook. So that's an awesome one. And then number 5, Brene Brown, The Power of Vulnerability. We associate vulnerability with emotions we want to avoid, such as fear, shame, and uncertainty. So these are the 5 books that I will put above on our link below, or whatever this thing goes. And I'm like all over the place. But I will put all you could find them in Amazon. You could find them in, what is it called? Audible?
Audible.
Audible.
If you guys DM us through No Filters, No Fears, I actually do have the Audible link for The Power of Vulnerability by Dr. Brene Brown. So I can give you the link and you get 30 days access to it. And if you enjoy it, then you can just become a member of Audible. Or if you're an Amazon member, you get credits and you can download the book for free. So I
So
highly
yeah,
recommend it.
that's for the Brene Brown, The Power of Vulnerability. Oh, wow, I can't even say the word now.
Vulnerability, the power of vulnerability. Yeah.
Just let us know, DM us, send us, link, comment, just let us know. And that is for Choobie's Book Corner.
Choobie's Book Corner. Choobie's Book Corner.
See, this is why having friends that
Forget
can.
it. There is actually this transition from Choobie's Book Corner into Music Mondays. There's a poem by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. I'm
Oh
not gonna
yes.
read it because it's a little long. Do you want me to read it? Should I
I
read
just
it?
at least just like three stanzas of it because
Okay.
it's pretty
I'll
nice.
Yeah, I'll read 3 stanzas of it, and then we will post it on our actual page, not in the stories,
Yeah.
so you guys can always go back to it. I thought it went well with the topic of shame because it's about what Brené Brown said: when you find somebody with empathy, willing to listen to your story, shame cannot exist. So it's about being willing to be the person who shows up and being vulnerable, and being the person who shows up for the person who showed up, right? The invitation. And as therapist Helen knows, this makes me cry. So if I cry, I'm sorry, y'all. No, I'm not. See, I did it. Damn, it's real. Okay. I won't cry. Here we go. The
But it's okay.
invitation by, or it is okay if I do. I'm a crier. I'm learning to love this about myself. The invitation by Oriah Mountain Dreamer. It doesn't interest me what you do for a living. I want to know what you ache for. And if you dare to dream of meeting your heart's longing. It doesn't interest me how old you are. I want to know if you will risk looking like a fool for love, for your dreams, for the adventures of being alive. It doesn't interest me what planets are squaring your moon. I want to know if you have touched the center of your own sorrow, if you have been opened by life's betrayals, or have become shriveled and closed from the fear of further pain. I want to know if you can sit with pain, mine and or your own, without moving to hide it or fade it or fix it. I want to know if you can. Oh, I'm reading the whole thing. I'm going to stop now.
Yeah, because
Oh,
I
it's
was
just
about
so
to
good.
say, wait.
Girl,
You're
come
like,
back, come back.
oh no,
But,
I mean like good. Like I was clapping, not telling you to come back. No, I don't like the
oh,
snapping. That annoys the shit out of me.
nah. um, it's just so good.
So,
So I
so
will stop. Please, we will post it for you. Read the whole thing. I ask you, read the whole thing and share it with a friend, share it with a coworker, share it with your partner, um, because it kind of creates a space where I really do want this and I want to be able to share it with you. Um, I've shared it with a couple of people in my life, and every time I forget to adhere to it, it's nice to go back and read it and remember and remind myself.
and let us know how it made you feel too, because that's
Yeah.
also important. We're here without judgment, and that's the thing that most people have to understand. That yeah, I know people can be judgmental and pricks and whatever, but we're here with no judgment. We're here. We just want to hear, people's
Yeah.
perspectives on things.
I'm trying to find No Filters, No Fears music.
I was about to say,
Here it is. Eh, that is the wrong. There it is.
when I was
Ah,
going
what?
when I was going into it, I was like, Vanessa didn't make the playlist because I couldn't find it. I was like, and then
Oh
I found it.
no.
And then I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
hadn't opened it. I hadn't
at that
opened it yet.
moment, I can't say sorry. I'm like, oh, damn, sorry. Why? Because I accused her of something that was obviously not right.
So,
So
Music Mondays with Vane. That'll be
uh,
my song.
yeah.
Um, so this week's playlist, as per usual, I don't want to ever just make a list of songs that make us more sad or reinforce the shame. Um, so these are songs. This is Audio Slave. That I love Audio Slave. And I Am a Highway is about self-worth and giving yourself your value in a partnership, which, by the way, it was so difficult not to find songs that dealt with shame or shaming or rising through it that weren't related to a romantic relationship. People, we really gotta stop that shit.
Right. We have to change
Damn
the
it.
narrative on that because
Damn it. We reinforce that, and then we lose. That's why we are so it's so easy for us to shame one another. because the only thing that we place emphasis on is that romantic thing. Your friends are important. Your family is important, not just when you find that person and then they get forgotten. All the time, even when you have those partners. Damn it. Okay. But there are some great songs here. We have different genres as usual. I even got a little Camila Cabello on there.
I put some Reba
A little
McEntire.
Ani DeFranco.
If nobody's dancing while we're playing this music,
So instead of shame, it's shameless, right? I'm not lost. We got this is I'm telling you, I got so many mix of music in here. This is the song that was used for our video, for our little commercial. It's
oh
very
yeah,
mellow, very soothing. So we've got rock, we got a bunch of things there. There is still no heavy metal reggaeton. I am sorry.
Peter.
You have not created it, Peter. You want to hear it, you got to put it. And again, if you have Spotify, I beseech you, go onto the Spotify, follow it, share it with your friends. All of the playlists are open. You can add songs related to each topic. And remember, the Big 10, you can add any kind of song that is related to any topic for episodes 1 through 7, plus any kind of celebratory song for episode 10 being the celebration. So I hope you guys enjoy the playlist. Let us know what your favorite songs are and add to it. That's it for Music Mondays with Annie.
When this man is fast and the sun comes alive, I'm gonna be happy.
Right? Because we can just play it. I have to be like,
I like this though. It's funny. Is anybody listening out there? No.
Nothing Else Matters by Metallica could have
Oh
gotten a
yeah.
place. Oh,
But you,
damn. You know what? When I was thinking, like, when it comes to making the playlist, sometimes I'm like, I know exactly what song I want for this playlist. Like, I'll give you a sneak peek into playlist 13. It's going to be about superstition. So automatically in my head, I'm like, Stevie Wonder, superstitious, right? But when it came to shame, I was like, oh man, the only song that popped into my brain was I'm Beautiful, Christina Aguilera. I am beautiful, you know? Um, and actually another Christina Aguilera just popped into my head, another song, the one from Mulan. Who is
oh,
that girl I see? That one. That one's pretty.
I for me, I had quite a few in my head right away. I was like, "Ooh, I know this song." It doesn't have the word "shame" on the title, but it talks
Right,
about it. So I
right.
added as many as possible. So
That's awesome. Thank you. And guys, it doesn't have to have shame in the title. That's how what helps me find songs. Number one, I love adventuring through Spotify. I call them Spotifines. So I will either play an artist that I like and play their station to hear what other artists sound similar, or
right,
I will put the mood I'm in. I don't necessarily go by the genres that Spotify provides. I'll put a word. I'm thinking this word, and I'll listen to the songs. I'll listen to the lyrics, and if the lyrics speak to me, boom, you're getting saved onto a playlist. So that's
right,
what
same.
happens there. Yeah. So
But
definitely, and I love finding it. So if you guys find, and I love receiving new music. So please feel free to share.
well, Cabrera said, "I worked with music for years. Don't be afraid to pick my brain." We
So
have,
this is Choobie. This is why I called you Chewy earlier,
yeah.
because the ch got stuck in my brain. Chewy is a brilliant South Florida playwright that I just did one of his plays on Twitch the other night. Thank you so much, Chewy, for all the amazing posts.
Yeah.
But he also is a resident. He works doing karaoke. He was a karaoke DJ, so he really does have like a brains for the music, and he's also a poet. So you guys should talk. Choobie is an amazing writer and poet. Chewy, oh Choobie, that got really confusing. Coño.
Yeah, it sounds like it. We're gonna be like who's who?
No. Thank you, Dana, and thank you so
Yes.
much for tuning in. If you missed the episode from the beginning, you're popping in later, guys. We're gonna post it up on the YouTubes come Wednesday. And please feel free to share it. I feel like this is one of those that I really hope gets shared and watched in its entirety, because even though we have our silly moments throughout every episode, we're talking about some really serious things. And thank you all for being vulnerable and sharing uh, your thoughts and your own personal shame experiences.
Literally some
Love
heavy
you for
shit.
that. Yeah.
We do appreciate it.
Yeah.
So it's time to call it a night.
Yes. Tell them what to tell them where to find the mugs, Choobie, before we head out.
Well, you could go to our link on our Instagram. We have our link tree there, and it will be the first one available called Online Store. You click there, and it will take you to our online store. And then, you could find yourselves one of these little guys. I don't know if you want it.
This customization is going to be available soon. What you get is this, which is just as good. Um, but
Yes, it will look like this, just white, plain white. See?
yeah, that's a sexy looking mug. And eventually we'll make it available for you guys to customize it with your favorite hashtag from the show. And today we got a new one. Helen, if you posted something, my love, we don't see it. It's
Yes,
blank.
but we will be adding more to our online store. Be patient with us,
Yeah.
um, and you will be able to find other links in our link tree. You know where to find our music, where to find it. YouTube, Spotify, all the links there. Google, iTunes, you name it, it's there. So
They're
just
there.
go to our link in our bio on Instagram, and you will
We're
find it.
learning, we're growing, and we're thankful that you guys have come along for this ride. And we hope you all the way to episode 100 and beyond.
We're hoping. Helen
Claps
says,
for the merch.
"Thank you." Oh, let me
Yay.
put that so everybody can see that. We're trying.
Woo.
We're trying. You just
Woo
thanks to
woo.
you guys.
Yes. So guys, because we're in this crazy pandemic, there's ways of accessing all sorts of information. Hit us up, let us know how you're feeling, share potential topic ideas with us, music with us, books with us, but also let us know of other podcasts, of other streamers that we should be listening to or sharing about or have potentially as a guest, because we do want to start bringing people on. And thank
Yes,
you,
we do.
therapist Helen, for your wonderful therapeutic therapy based information. It was really helpful specifically for this topic. How you
Yes.
feeling, Chewy?
Um, I would say overwhelmed because now I since I'm the type of person that I take everything in. I'm gonna go sit and like think about this, and then be like, interesting. Oh yes. So yeah. So I'm gonna think about it. So how about you?
I think I'm in that same space. Yeah. And I was already, if I'm really honest, I was already kind of in a kind of emotional space all day. I always get excited for the podcast and to be here with you and with everyone watching. But I was in that space and I'm like, this is going to be a topic. I was genuinely afraid that I would start crying and not be able to stop. So I'm glad that that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And to talk out these ideas and to hear you guys, it's helpful because you don't feel alone in these feelings and in these um, shameful states, right? And it
It's
makes it
like
easy
therapy.
to change. Yeah, it's like therapy. But why are we not? We are not therapists.
Therapist. But I mean,
But
yeah, it can be hard and difficult, but I'm glad that we're here
yeah,
together, growing and learning about it
absolutely.
because we're not alone.
Nope. Once the one sign off thing. What is something that you want to normalize?
Besides artists,
Yes,
being
besides the artist
vulnerable,
thing.
yeah,
The what? Being
vulnerability, yeah,
yeah, being vulnerable. I dig
being
it.
open.
Yeah, I definitely want that. That's a norm that I would love to see happen. That's the norm. Being vulnerable, opening. I want to normalize I want to normalize all relationships being important.
Seriously,
Um
that's important.
and not yeah, man. Because it's so like draining right? And it brings you back to that spot. If you're not in that relationship, you failed, right? So indirectly, you're being shamed. So negative, no me gusta.
Right. No,
So
we don't like
I want to normalize feelings, period.
feeling. Seriously, everybody cry, smile, whatever you want to feel. And do not apologize. Stop apologizing for feeling and crying and explaining. See, but I'm not doing it to shame her. See, that's the difference.
No, but it's true. I appreciate a call out of love, right?
Right.
Because it's for my benefit. And I'm in a space right now where I can see it as coming from a place of love and not like, ay, me está diciendo feo, right?
Right. But that's the difference. Most people always feel attacked and feel like it.
Defensive.
Yeah.
You're only reprimanding me. You're not seeing what I do. I do, but I'm saying this is the, you know what I mean? So absolutely, I dig it. I think today was awesome. Guys, send us also messages about things that you want to normalize. I would love to be able to do a post of a compilation of all the things that you guys want to see normalized. Let's make it real. Let's make it happen. Like
Yes.
therapist Helen said, let's be the change we want to see in the world.
Starts with you.
And with that, stay fearless, fam.
Yes. Good night, everyone.